Okay, this weekend was Derby Central. West Ham versus Tottenham, Man City, Man United. I was at Southampton versus Portsmouth. Derby Day gets the blood going, doesn't it? Like it does. I'm a commentator, and when I went to Southampton Portsmouth on Sunday morning, I was up for it. I was like, I could feel that extra little bit of edge in my body. I could feel it, and I'm sure that happens to referees too, because referees, despite their reputation, do actually love football. And you love a game as well. And I have to check myself to make sure that you're trying to keep it level when everybody else is going absolutely crackers. So how do referees approach a big, high-profile derby?
Um, I would say you approach it the same way you approach every game, but circumstances change, don't they? I mean, you mentioned you were driving to the game yesterday. You can tell when you start to arrive at a ground for a local derby that things are different because there's more people at the stadium a lot earlier. You can feel the nervousness, you can feel the tension, you can feel the excitement. And you just know on people's faces that this is a massive game for them because obviously they only played their local rivals twice a year. Obviously, if it happens in the cup, it's more, but it's twice a year and only once at your home ground, obviously. And you can feel it and you can sense it. And it's about controlling your emotions because you have to come back to the default position of it's 22 players kicking a football round and you've got 17 laws of the game to apply. And you've got to manage the game to the best of your ability and punish what's foul. But you can tell because the safety briefings take a little bit longer with the stadium manager and the police. People they want you to keep on top of things. They don't want the players to get too excited if they score, and the tendency sometimes is that they may over celebrate, which can be a little bit inflammatory. So you've got to be mindful of that. But for me, the big thing was always making sure that I was primed and ready for the week ahead. I was murder Sam for listening to managers' press conferences, looking at the media, what are people saying, trying to understand if there's when they'd played before, if there was any leftovers in the game, if there was any potential flashpoints. I'm doing my prep. I'm not sort of prejudging, I'm pre-planning. I want to cover all bases and I want to be sure that I'm across everything that may happen in that particular game because they're full on, they're full-blooded, and they're great to be involved in.
What was the most explosive derby match that you were involved in?
Do you know, I thought about this last night, and I've been privy to referee some incredible football matches, lots of London derbies, Manchester derbies, some really tough rivalries. Man United Leeds in the FA Cup was incredible. But I think it was a quarter final in the League Cup, and it was Birmingham City against Aston Villa at St Andrews. Yeah, my goodness me, what an evening that was. I mean, just getting to the ground, you could feel it. And St Andrews, the crowd are very close to the pitch. The place was full to the rafters. The atmosphere was unbelievable. It was just non-stop. And, after the game, everything had gone really well for us. We'd officiated the game well. There was no controversy. Nobody was talking about the refereeing team. But I just sat in the changing room and didn't really get changed. I just sat there and, wow. Because it was just so noisy. The atmosphere was just incredible. And by the time we'd got changed, had a shower and got suited and booted and wanted to leave the ground, we couldn't because it was just chaos outside.
This is a game that is always spicy, but that night in particular, there was riot police everywhere. It was a real sort of nasty feeling in the stadium. And obviously, towards the end of the game, everyone's getting a little bit overexcited. So what are you feeling right at the very end when you're about to blow the whistle? Because it's at fever pitch.
It's at fever pitch, and Birmingham are gonna win the game. And I knew then that when I was looking round, I could see that fans were ready to run on the field and pile on at the end as you do and celebrate a historic win over their arch rivals. So what I have to do is I have to think about myself, I have to think about my team. So I'm communicating with the two assistants that I'm going to blow the final whistle in a 5 or 6 seconds. So be ready to be on your mettle and hurtle towards the tunnel because you've got to look after your colleagues and you don't want to leave them sort of out there stranded. So that all came to fruition. We knew where we were. The ball had gone out of play. As soon as the time was up, I was blowing the whistle. I'd told them that, and they were on the bike and they were making their way towards the tunnel because safety's paramount. And as soon as I blew the whistle, it was just a mass mass pitch incursion celebrating what was a famous win for Birmingham City, and thankfully we got down the tunnel and we were all safe and well.
I'm a referee, get me out of here. You scarpered down that tunnel pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, football fans love it, don't they, the excitement, but at the end of the day, I have a duty to my colleagues to make sure that we all get off the pitch and we're all safe and well.
Do you have to get the players off as well? Do you have to sort of say to the players, like, I'm going to blow the whistle in the next few minutes, get closer towards the tunnel? Do you wait until it's in that area?
Not really, no. What you've got, I mean, as the sole judge of time, the timekeeper, you blow the whistle when the time's up, and the players generally know that they're gonna be leaving the field, and there was enough stewards and police there at the time to make sure that people were getting off. But sometimes you can't control how many people actually do come on the field. But it was a game I'll certainly remember for a long time.
It's fascinating though, isn't it? Because there are those moments when you're doing that game and everything's more high profile. So every decision you make is more high profile. Every call you make is argued maybe with more ferocity because of the nature of the match. Do you give extra leeway to players during the game? Do you take your time more with 50-50s? Do you judge them differently during a match like that when the intensity is so high?
No, what you've got to do is you've got to be calmness personified. If you think of a swan, it's the most elegant of birds on top of the water, but underneath it's kicking like mad. And let me tell you, Sam, that was me. I used to really work hard on body language to make sure that when everybody was getting a little bit excited, a little bit hot under the collar, that you were calm and took your time, because the best players in footy have time, and so do the best referees. Just take your time and use everything about you. As I said, work with the players, talk to the players, and encourage them to do the right thing. And if it's getting a little bit hot and bothered, talk to the captain. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to come off that field where nobody's talking about you.
How many times did you manage to avoid that?
Probably in about 650 professional matches, about 3. No, I'm only joking. How many did you commentate on?
Well, that's the life of that's the life of a referee and a commentator, funnily enough. All right. Okay, one more big incident for you.